and a very warm welcome to yet another fabulous edition of the program CAC Weekly, a weekly program that keeps you abreast on the activities and the achievement of the Corporate Affairs Commission. My name is Amina Jibril, and we will be right back after this break. Do stay with us. Now, welcome back. We begin today with the education sector as the Corporate Affairs Commission, CAC, has pledged to collaborate with the National Universities Commission, NUC, to check the menace of sharp practices by some private universities in the country. The Registrar General and CEO of the CAC, Alhaji Garba Abubakar, gave the commitment while receiving the Executive Secretary of the NUC, Professor Abubakar Rashid, on a courtesy visit to the Commission. Now, Alhaji Garba Abubakar stressed that the CAC was ready to offer the necessary support and cooperation to the NUC in its bid to sanitize the tertiary education sector. Speaking earlier, the NUC scribe, Professor Abubakar Rashid, said they were at the CAC to discuss, amongst others, matters relating to registration of proposed private universities. He used the forum to applaud the CAC's reform initiatives being championed by the Registrar General and CEO of the Commission, Alhaji Garba Abubakar, and then urged him to sustain the tempo. And now from education, we move on to business registration proper, and we'll be talking about the much expected closure of manual submission of post-incorporation applications and the use of new forms by the CAC. Our esteemed viewers may recall that the CAC had earlier reminded its esteemed customers and the general public that the window for manual submission of post-incorporation applications dated not later than 31st December 2020 would remain open until Wednesday, 31st March 2020, after which date the window shall be closed and all applications shall only be submitted online. In that notice, the CAC further stated that from Monday, 8th March 2021, all post-incorporation applications to be submitted manually to the Commission shall be made using the new application forms in the Companies Regulations 2021 and as approved by the Honorable Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Otumba Niyi Adebayo. Now, the new application forms are to be downloaded via www.cac.gov.ng/resources. And beginning Monday, 8th March 2021, some post-incorporation and registration applications shall only be submitted online. They include change of name of company, business name and incorporated trustees, notice of increase of issued share capital, and registration of charges, amongst others. As we fast approach the deadline, CAC Weekkly caught up with the Registrar General and CEO of the Commission, Alhaji Garba Abubakar, who throws more light on the CAC's new reform initiative.
Many thanks for joining us again.
Thank you for having me.
The Commission did say a number of times that 31st of March will be the closure for manual submission. Now that the D-Day has come, what next?
Well, the next thing is, for all transactions with the Commission, it has to be electronic end-to-end. The closure became inevitable because that's the only way you can make people to take advantage of the online system, which is faster, easier, and more convenient for our customers. And for us to maintain the integrity of the information we're keeping, one of the only ways we can ensure that is to have an electronic system for receiving and making available information to our customers. So, upon the deployment of this new upgraded company registration portal in January this year, we couldn't close manual submission immediately for post-incorporation filing because we are mindful of the fact that some companies and other entities had initiated some transactions. Maybe those documents had already been signed by either the board or the trustees, and the documents were ready for submission to the Commission for processing. Some had already paid for this transaction. So if you now suddenly close manual submission, it will create a lot of problems for these companies. So we decided to give a window of 3 months within which all such transactions must be concluded. So from the 31st, after the 31st, from the 1st of April, any application that will be submitted to the commission has to be done electronically. Otherwise, if the customer had prepared the document manually, if that document is not before us as at 31st, even while payment has been made, I'm afraid that customer has to ask for a refund and he has to resubmit electronically. Okay. So, under the new company registration portal, we have two accounts. It's either you use an accredited customer, that is a lawyer, an accountant, or chartered secretary to make your filings, or any entity can apply to create an electronic account. The guideline for the creation of electronic account has been published in different newspapers as well as on our website. So any entity that wants to take advantage of this can apply to create its electronic account. Once the account is created, the entity or the company will be able to make its filings. The old requirement that 2 directors must sign or a director as secretary must sign has been relaxed for filings being made through an electronic account. Then for those using accredited customers like lawyers, accountants, and chartered secretaries, those class of professionals are at liberty to file on behalf of any entity. And such filings will be accepted because we know the person that is filing and he's doing it on behalf of an entity. If it turns out that he didn't have the necessary authority, then he'll be held responsible for that. So this is where we are. And as I have said, the closure will cover all activities from change of directors, trustees, or proprietors to dissolution of these entities. So for any post-registration, already new registration services are done electronically. So even before the closure, a lot of transactions, in fact, we had to introduce a stopgap measure to encourage customers to take advantage of the online system. About 2 weeks ago, we had to close submission of applications that will end in the issuance of any certificate, such as change of name, change of trustees, increase in share capital. So all those transactions, since 2 weeks back, were being done electronically. So other things that will follow include change of directors, change of trustees, change of address, annual returns for any type of entity. So all these transactions must be done electronically, including winding up and appointment of receiver managers or administrators for any entity. So this is where we are, and we are strict. We are not going to extend this deadline. And so that by the 1st of April, all transactions with the commission will be electronic, either using the company electronic account or using any of our accredited customers.
Okay. And for those who might be wondering that if they create the entity's account without paying their annual returns, would that still be acceptable?
No, the account enables you to file electronically. So you can have an account without updating your annual returns. After the account is created, then you can use it to update your returns. It's easier for you. So we are not tying the filing of annual returns to the creation of this account. So any entity can apply to create the account. We believe by the time they have an electronic account, it will make it easier for them to file their returns because they can do it directly. They don't need to incur additional costs that they will ordinarily pay to a professional to file on their behalf. So this is the way it goes, and either way, whether your return is up to date or not, you can have that electronic account.
Okay. Now, let's go to the responses of customers since the CRP was launched in January. What is the response like? Has it been overwhelming? Has it been beyond expectation or below expectation?
Well, we've actually noticed a deluge in the number of applications. One becomes bewildered. You wonder what people use some of these companies for. Because every day new companies are registered. But existing companies, the owners don't come to file returns. So it's as if people prefer to create new entities than use the existing companies. But besides that, the only challenge is the impact of COVID-19 restrictions on our service delivery. Because even now, there are restrictions on the category of officers that are allowed to come to the office. We've tried as much as possible to provide mobile devices to some of them to work from home, but we couldn't provide for everybody. So we are hoping that this year, under our procurement plan for this year, we'll be able to buy a lot of laptops to give to some of these officers. They can work from anywhere. Then secondly, because of the volume of applications that are coming in, and vis-a-vis the number of officers that are actually approving. In the past, the system was such that only lawyers were approving. So we have to extend that to non-lawyers. We have to train other staff to be able to approve these applications. There is nothing in law that says only a lawyer can approve this application. What the law says is the Registrar General that signs this application. So any of the officers of the commission, if he has the necessary skills, should be able to approve. So as part of ways of reducing the time cycle for registration, we're onboarding non-lawyers to approve all classes of registration, whether companies, limited business names, or incorporated persons. The whole essence is, unlike before where officers, particularly lawyers, were making declarations on behalf of the applicants, that requirement has now been made optional. So most of the applications that are being filed today are done through a simple statement of compliance. The old system where a customer submits statutory declaration that has to be filled by our officers and a notary public will now notarize, that is no longer the case. So anybody can approve once he's trained. So we are training more staff to be approving this registration. The more you have, the lesser the time it takes to get all these applications approved. So this is what we are focusing on. We want to take it to a level where when somebody submits his application, provided all the information is correct, within a maximum of 4 or 5 hours, you should get your result, you should get your certificate within this period.
So let's go to the big issue, which is the annual returns that many people are guilty of. Is there a kind of a waiver?
Well,
for somebody who is owing like maybe 20, 30 years, that has not made returns for 20, 30 years, there is a kind of waiver.
No waiver.
Okay. He has to pay the penalty.
He has to. We don't know how much he made from these companies
Okay.
in the 30 years.
Okay.
Maybe he has made a humongous amount of money.
What if he has not made a penny?
Well, that's his problem. If he was filing as admin due, he wouldn't have paid any penalty.
Okay.
So let him come and file and pay. At least that will also help us as a body. It will show up our resources to be able to deliver more efficient services to him and to others.
Okay. So even if he has a case that he has not made, he has not used it to do any business, he will still have to pay.
In fact, he's even lucky that we didn't strike off the name.
Okay.
If we had struck off the name, he wouldn't be talking about returns only. He will have to go to court to get the name relisted. Even after the listing, he has to file this outstanding results.
Okay.
So he's even lucky. He doesn't have to approach the court to get the name reinstated. But for him to be able to use the company, his return must be updated. And we are not considering any waiver. For now, we are not.
So let's go to the authorized share capital. We do understand that the private sector was seeking for an extension sometimes ago.
Yes, we have actually gotten the extension.
Okay.
Because under the company's regulations, 2021, it was provided that in line with the provisions of the new law that says share capital, that abolish authorized share capital. So which means the share capital of the company must be fully issued. And a window of 6 months was given to all companies that had unissued share capital within which to issue the remaining shares. During the interaction, one of our engagements with the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, a lot of stakeholders participated during the interaction, and a case was made that the deadline of 6 months was too short, particularly for companies that have foreign obligations on foreign shareholders. So we had to now make representation to the Honorable Minister, and he graciously approved an extension for up to 2 years. So what we are looking at now is companies have a window up to December 2022 within which to issue the remaining unissued shares. So, but if they do it before then, fine and good, but they have that window and they won't be penalized if they do not do it.
Okay.
But after December 2022, anyone that does not issue the remaining shares, those shares will stand cancelled, and he may have to re-register if he has any need for those shares.
Recently, you had a meeting with the British Council. There's a program reporting through the BXL, if I remember very well. Yes. What does that mean for businesses?
Yes, you see, there are different requirements for filing of annual returns with the Commission. For a company other than a small company, the law requires that the financial statements, that is the balance sheet and profit and loss account, the director's report, as well as the auditor's report, must be annexed to the annual return of these companies. At present, the returns are filed. The accounts that is filed with us is usually in PDF format. They scan and upload, and we return it. If anybody requires a copy, we certify and give them a copy. The world has moved. Other countries, other registries, particularly the registries in South Africa, in the United Kingdom, in Singapore and other countries, have introduced extensible reporting language for financial statements that will allow the auditor, after the account is approved by the company, to submit these accounts in extensible language, which makes it easier for anybody that requires to obtain copies of this account to obtain it in a manner that will be useful to him, not just in PDF, in its raw form that will allow for analysis. If you want to query the accounts of different companies, you should be able to query. If you want to know the turnover of companies in a certain class of business within a particular location, you should be able to query the database to get that. If you want to know the profit made by a company within a particular period, you don't need to have to go to start opening pages. So using that platform, you can do that. So this is what the EU is supporting us to develop. The current portal provides for the interface for filing of return. But as I've said, the financial statement is submitted in PDF. So this will be an extension of the annual return interface that will have this XBRL platform that will allow for the filing of financial statement in extensible reporting language. And
when is it coming? I'm sorry to jump in. When is it coming?
No, it's still work in progress because you need to have the taxonomy, the reporting taxonomy, because every country has its own requirement. We have our accounting standards in Nigeria. So you have to develop the taxonomy in line with the accounting standards. We have discussed with Financial Reporting Council, and I think ANAN has also submitted a proposal to us in that regard. They have a committee that is working on the taxonomy for Nigeria, reporting language for Nigeria for the XBRL. So once we have that, it will be easier to now build the electronic interface that will allow for the filing. The EU has done the first line of study, free, and they are extending it to cover the reporting language in XBRL. So, but part of what we have agreed is to have the taxonomy. So, and in doing that, we have to collaborate with other agencies that have the primary responsibility for issuing the standards, like the Financial Reporting Council, as well as the two accounting bodies, like the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, as well as the Association of National Accountants of Nigeria, and some of the big accounting firms, to have a committee of qualified professionals that will sit and come up with this taxonomy. So this is what we are doing, and by the time this is achieved, I believe it will make it easier for companies to make their reports. And this platform can also be used by other regulatory bodies and any individual or research students that may need this information as part of their work. And it will serve as a depository of annual accounting, the financial statements of this company. If you recall, during one of the courtesy calls by the Financial Reporting Council, this issue came up. They wanted to be given that responsibility, but we made it clear to them that, look, for FRC, their role is limited to public interest entities, which includes organizations like CAC and all government organizations, as well as companies that are public interest entities. These are companies that are required by law to make returns to other regulatory authorities, apart from FIRS and CAC. For us, we deal with larger group of companies, and our scope covers all entities, including non-governmental organizations, as well as companies, whether big or small, although there is exemption for small companies from filing financial statements. And it's part of our primary mandate to actually receive these accounting records. And fundamentally, too, We are a registry. Any information we obtain is supposed to be made publicly available. Unlike most other agencies that don't have the same mandate. Most agencies, when they receive information, they can only use it for their own regulatory activities. They are not supposed to publish it. They are not supposed to make it publicly available to members of the public. But for us, whatever information we obtain can be any member of the public that desires to obtain that information. Upon payment of the requisite fee, we can get that. So that is the major difference between us and most of these agencies. So, and that's why we try to draw the distinction between our own role and their own role.
Okay. Just recently, the Christian Association of Nigeria, CAN, took the commission to court over implementation of the CAMA 2020. And then we also did see there are another group of lawyers are saying, no, we do support the commission, the Catholic lawyers. So where is the commission in all of this?
I don't want to speak on this because the matter is before the court. As a lawyer, we should respect the court to make pronouncements. But all I will say is we also have our legal representation on this. And at the end of the day, we'll hear what the court will say on this.
Okay. Now, as we wind down, still back to the closure, of manual submission. And for those who will not be able to make it, is it a situation whereby they will have to go through an accredited agent because they won't be able to log on?
No. As I've said, even now there are two options open to customers. Majority of customers file through accredited customers. You either approach a lawyer, an accountant, or chartered secretary that is accredited with the commission. He now file on your behalf. Or for an existing entity, you can apply to create your own electronic account. And to do that, you have to fill the requisite form, which has to be signed by majority of the directors or majority of the trustees. They have to introduce the authentication officer with his name, his address, his email address, his phone number. And the account will be created and the link will now be sent to the designated email address of that authentication officer. With that, he's ready to create and to proceed.
What I'm trying to say is that after 31st, say 1st of April, an entity can still go online and create his entity electronically.
No, the account is not created online.
Okay.
Because this is necessary. Because we need to first confirm whether the person applying is actually an officer of the company. And you don't allow one person in the company to usurp to himself the right to make changes without the knowledge and consent of the others. So we've made it mandatory that you can apply, but that application has to be sent to us physically. You send it to any of the designated courier companies. You fill the necessary form. You sign. Your original signature has to be there. The majority of the directors have to sign. And the name of the person that will manage that account will be stated, his email address and phone number will be stated. So when the account is created, the link is now sent to the email address of that person. This is necessary. In other countries, what they do is, when they create the account, it's automatic after registration. They create an account for you. They send the details to your postcode. And once you receive the details, you can log in, change the password, and you are set to make your filings after registration. But in Nigeria, you know the challenges we have with our addressing system. We don't have a good postcode system, although some cities are building that. Some of the addresses may even be non-existent, but we are trying to curtail that. The next level we are taking it to is to have notification alerts. You can subscribe, even now on the portal, you can subscribe to email notification. Once you subscribe to that, any change that is made on an entity you subscribe to, you get notification. So if you are a director that didn't authorize the change, you can now alert the commission that, look, this change was unauthorized, and the commission will investigate. We are also encouraging the private sector. There is a company that is trying to build the SMS alert. So what they will do is, under our new system, it allows you to buy information from the community, bulk information. So once they buy this bulk information, maybe exit and entry for directors, they will be able to publish, and anybody that subscribes to the alert will get notification whenever any director is appointed or removed. So that will put you on notice.
Some of us have actually done the entities electronic accounting. It's very easy and so seamless.
It is, and cheaper for you, because I don't want to appear to be...
I think you beat your chest for that.
Well, some professionals may not be happy because like you are taking food out of their table, but that's not the intention. Globally, you are talking about ease of doing business. The right of the owners to deal with the commission directly remains unchanged. Remains unfettered.
Alhaji Garba Abubakar, Registered General Corporate Affairs Commission, thank you very much indeed for your time as always.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
And on that note, we bring to a close this week's edition of the program CAC Weekly. We do hope you enjoyed watching. For comments and inquiries, please take advantage of our social media handles and our helplines. On Twitter, it is at CAC Nigeria 1. On Instagram and Facebook, it is Corporate Affairs Commission. Our email is cservice@cac.gov.ng. And our website is at www.cac.gov.ng. And our helplines are 081-822-99016 or 081-822-98971, 090-874-01598 or 090-874-01599 and 090-874-01600. Do join us next week for yet another interesting edition of the program. Same time and same station. From me, Amina Jabril, and the whole team, it is bye for now.